Have you been wanting to spread your wings and fly outside of the context of other people's expectations or what they may think of you? Or you feel like you have a connection to the Egyptian god Thoth? Well, I'm going to share a multidimensional chakra scan that I just did with a client in case it helps you on your journey as well. When I went into my client's energy field, I was met with her energy body that said, hey, I want to show you one of my past lives. And so we went deeper into her Akashic records, and I saw a princess that was walking around, but she wasn't technically a princess. Like, she was of this royal family, but not necessarily in the same context. And I saw a crown on her, but instead of it being on her head, it was actually around her neck, and there was kind of like a chain around it, and it was symbolic of the way that she was feeling in her life. So I explained to her why I was there and why my client's energy body was. And I said, we're here to help support you with whatever you might need. And she said, I feel like I always have to do what's expected of me, not only from her parents, but just as this royal family, a member of like high society. She was about 18 years old, so she was an adult who could go out and do the things that she wanted to, but still felt very stifled in her life. And she said, I'm worried about disappointing my parents. She said, I want to go out and explore and go on adventures. And I said, okay, well, why don't you do that? And she said, because it's not ladylike, it's not prim and proper to do so. I said, oh, you need examples of people who have done this throughout history, okay? Because you don't have anybody that's in your current reality that is experiencing this, even though on some levels, I feel like she did, because she just felt this very deep calling. And maybe it was from people that she had heard about, you know, in her history where she was from, or she had past incarnations within herself, but she knew that this stifling of her feminine energy, of curiosity, and exploration, it's not in alignment to keep that stuff within. We need to go out and be in our creative flow and bringing new energy into our life. So what I did was I actually handed her a memory ball that encompassed parts of our history in this incarnation with female leaders who are also explorers and adventurers. And so she was able to see their life in their totality. And it was Amelia Earhart, Jane Goodall, Sacagawea, Sally Ride. And then I also showed her Alice in Wonderland. How this relates back to my client is she was having some of the same fears about stepping out into the unknown and doing things on her own. And I said, this is going to be great for both of y'all. We really need mentors in our life, whether it is people that you find on YouTube or you are Googling and researching about, just people throughout history who you can look up to, so you can see that this is in the range of possibilities for you as well. If they did it, you can do it too. And the more that you find and you read about their life stories, you start to see that there's commonality threads amongst all of them, that they're really stepping out on the fringe and using a lot of confidence and self-assuredness that is built over time by going out continually. And then they end up changing the world forever through their explorations. I said, why don't you start going out on small adventures, like in your town, in your city, and then you can start venturing out further and further. And she was like, oh, by myself? I was like, okay, well, do you have anybody in your life that you can take with you? And she said, oh, I have a brother who is also an adventurer. And I said, oh, that might be a really good liaison, like a bridge for your parents to start feeling more confident with you, you know, being independent and going out on your own. I said, but eventually we want to get to a place where we feel comfortable in going with self. And I said, somebody else who would really love to go with you is my client from this incarnation. She would love to be there with you in spirit, in the etherical sense. And you can actually go on adventures with her in this incarnation as well. And I said, technically, you're already an explorer. I said, you're the one that called us in here today to help you with this healing. I said, you are willing to take a step out into the unknown, into infinite possibilities, while also being very strong and courageous with asking for support, you know, like making that call out into the cosmos. And here we are. And the discovery prompts that I gave my client in regards to this were, where am I living under the expectations of others? And how is that stifling me in my life? Do I have representatives of strong, independent women who I can look up to? And then deeper into her subconscious, I saw the mythological story of Icarus flying too close to the sun. Okay, his dad had built him and his son wings, but Icarus got a little too curious and was flying too close to the sun and they started to melt, and then he fell into the ocean. And this is where we hear things in media and they start to seep back into our subconscious and really create these filter lenses and distortions. That's why it's really important to do inner child healing work, because this is something that she heard when she was younger. But the medicine here, okay, the message that was trying to come through was you need to stay in your lane or you might get burned, especially with going out in this exploratory type of fashion. Her higher self said we need to find leaders who have pushed boundaries, and then look at your life in totality and say, what are the major success points I've had in my life where I reached a new level that I previously didn't think was possible? Reminding yourself of your resiliency, okay, and your ability to be able to traverse through these things and learn and grow and come out on the other side as a stronger fortitude within of like, hey, I can do anything that I set my mind to. And then I go deeper into her energy field, and Thoth, his energy came forward, and he's the god of the moon, sacred text, mathematics, science, the recorder of deities, master of knowledge, and patron of scribes. So I started seeing this about 15-year-old boy who was walking around, and I asked him, I was like, hey, who are you? And he said, I am a transcriber for Thoth. And he said that he was walking around one day and he had heard a riddle from somebody else, like in a conversation, and he spent so much time trying to figure out what the riddle is, and he eventually did. And then all of a sudden Thoth appeared in front of him like in human form and asked him if he wanted to work with him. Oh, it's 11:11 on my phone. This boy was a different incarnation of my client in this one. So I said, oh, that's so interesting that Thoth asked you to work with him. Like he's such a knowledgeable and wise being. And he said, yes. He said that he liked my perseverance in acquiring knowledge, like spending so much time trying to figure out what that riddle is and how it applies to his own life. He took me to where he was working, where there was all these like different texts. It looked like it was a pyramid, like library almost, but not in the same sense of like we have here, like in this plane. And I said, oh, do you like doing this type of work? And he said, I love learning. Apparently he knew 2 different languages, which a lot of people at that time period didn't. And so Thoth was having him transcribe text from one language to another. And he said, I hope to one day be a wise man. And I said, do you think that Thoth would choose anyone that is not already a wise being? And he said, oh, I haven't really thought about that before. And he said, I suppose he would choose me because I am wise. And the reason that this lesson was coming up is because my client in this incarnation is sometimes in a perpetual learning state, always thinking that she's a student, even though that she is a master at what she does. And we can always be both, right? But there is a time that we need to say, hey, I am ready to step up into this level of teaching other people in whatever way that that means for you or for her, right? But we cannot completely just keep absorbing and absorbing and absorbing. Like sometimes we need to be the one that is actually expressing the guidance and the wisdom and the advice and helping other people in their paths. And I said, oh, can my client actually channel through your perceptual lenses at the texts that Thoth has? And he said, I don't know, I need to go ask Thoth. And I said, oh, that's a very wise decision. And so we went to go ask him, and he said, yes, any student of mine in this incarnation, their soul as a whole is going to be a student of mine. And so she was going to receive these massive downloads through this incarnation because of being able to connect to this incarnation. And if you would like your own multidimensional chakra scan, you can go to my profile and check the comments or the description box below.